Tom?
And I'm just trying to... Hey YouTube, Team Pyramid again. This is Corey for Team Pyramid, and we're going to go through probably one of my most fun decks, Flower Cardians. We're starting off with the extra deck, as opposed to the main deck with most of these. That is because Flower Cardians have 3 extra deck cards that they can actually use. These 3 are, in right to left for this reason, Board Fly, who's your level 6, 1 tuner plus 2 non-tuner monsters. Best thing about him is if Flower Cardian monster attacks a defense position monster, inflicts piercing damage to your opponent. And most importantly, the once per turn you can turf a Flower Cardian monster for the graveyard, and in doing so, banish a Flower Cardian monster from the graveyard. And in doing so, you then can stop your opponent from special summoning monsters from the graveyard and also activating effects from the graveyard, which can shut down things such as Burning Abyss and Jacob Weather decks focus quite heavily in the graveyard.
ABC, Burning Abyss, Necros, pretty much anything that relies on the actual graveyard itself. Vendrids, it could shut down Lightsworn as well, because you get the Felis and the Wolf. Once you build them, you get the special summons from them as well.
So I mean, it's not like it's an insignificant card against a lot of the bigger name decks. Light Shower is just a protection card. You can't have your Flower Cardians targeted for card effects, and also they cannot be destroyed by card effects. During your opponent's draw phase, if they draw a card or multiples for their normal draw, you inflict 1,500 damage. So it's a slow burn with 2 caveats at the end phase of your opponent, which is you skip your draw phase for the turn or negate all his effects. With the way that Flower Cardians work, the skipping your draw phase shouldn't be an issue. If it is, you've done something wrong.
Nah, speaking from experience, the burn hurts.
And finally, we have Flower Cardian Light Flare, your big beat stick of the game. 5,000 attack, 0 defense, 1 tuner plus 4 non-tuner monsters, and he negates a spell or trap card when activated during either player's turn. And from what I can see, that's not even a once per turn, which is even better. So it basically locks down your opponent's back row. And if Flower Cardian battles against your opponent, the opponent's monster has its effect negated during the battle step, which, as most people will be aware, that can stop quite a lot of things dead in their tracks. So that's why we started with these guys. The entire deck is basically Flower Cardian, and we'll go into the reasons why in a second. So with them out of the way, we'll start off with the actual things that can make your deck start. Flower Cardian Pain, Flower Cardian Cherry with Blossom with Curtain, sorry. Terrible with these names. Super Koi Koi, and Flower Gathering. We'll include them in a second because they're kind of out of frame. Let's see if I can... I do apologise. First one.
Yeah, I apologise as well. I broke our usual camera, so we're using my backup. So please bear with us with the quality of this one.
And the quality of myself as well. Although I've covered up the effects, don't worry, I've got like the spares and everything else. So Flower Cardian Pine, I run 3 of. It's the only one that can be normal summoned. Every single other one needs to be tribute summoned if you're ever going to normal summon them, which you're never going to do. Flower Cardian Pine also allows you to then draw a card. If it's Flower Cardian monster, you get to keep it. If it's not, you have to throw it into the graveyard. Sorry about that. And when it's sent to the graveyard, or if it's sent from your possession to the graveyard, you get to draw a card. So I mean, it's a major part of the deck. We'll go into further why, as you'll see with the other ones. And a Cardian Cherry Blossom with Curtain. Sorry, I'm ill. I run 3 of them as well. You have to reveal it. At that point, your opponent has to decide if they actually want to stop the card or not. If not, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Flower Cardian, you get to play it. If not, you discard both the card you drew and the with Cardian. Oh, again, apologies. Reinforcements of the army, so you can get either Pine or Cardian easily. Flower Gathering, I run 2 of. That allows you to get 1 of each of the base ones. Flower Cardian Pine, Flower Cardian Willow, Flower Cardian Zebragrass, and Flower Cardian Palawana. The only caveat with that one is they have to all be in your deck, so you at least run 2 of each. And finally, you have Super Koi Koi, the biggest risk of the starters. You flip out the top 3, excavate the top 3 cards from the deck. You then have to pay 1,000 life points for each card that's not a Flower Cardian monster. Put them in the graveyard, and the other ones get to be special summoned with their effects negated, which isn't too bad, but I mean, you'll have set up for Super Koi Koi normally, unless you're desperate. And once he's in the graveyard as well, you can choose to banish it, to special summon 1 Flower Cardian monster, ignoring its summoning conditions, by just tributing another monster as well. And I run 2 of the Super Koi Koi, just due to the risk involved. Super Koi Koi over there, Blossom over here, and there. So next up, we'll go through the other main players of the deck. So we have Willow, a very important card in this deck, along with not so much Zebragrass, but it's a good way to reset your hand. Sorry again. And Palawana is purely for the purpose of Flower Gathering. With Cardian Willow, once per turn, and not per, and it's not, you can only use the effect of Willow once per turn. So running 3 of them in your deck's great. At the moment I'm only running 2. I keep forgetting to pick up the 3rd one. You put 1 of your Flower Cardian monsters from the graveyard into your deck, draw another card. Palawana just kind of stops your opponent attacking you for a few turns, because if they do, you negate the attack and draw a card. So it's really only going to get you a set of monsters that either force a fight. And Zebragrass just gets to put Flower Cardian monsters in your hand back into the deck. So if you don't have anything you want to play or can't play, it's a good way just to cycle through them. To special summon each of these, you just have to control a Flower Cardian monster with a lower level than its level. So Palawana is a 12, Willow's the 11, and Zebragrass is an 8. Run 2 of Palawana and Zebragrass. So next is their upgrades, which are with Pine with Crane, Zebragrass with Moon, Willow with Calligrapher, and Palawana with Phoenix. Again, I don't really care much for these. These are just when they have a little during a battle phase, at the end of the battle phase, draw a card sort of thing. When Phoenix inflicts damage, you draw a card. So they're good that way. The problem is, when they reveal the card, you have to special summon it. If you don't, it goes to the graveyard. The main one in there is Calligrapher, one of the 2 tuners of the deck. What's great about the tuners is they reduce all other monsters used to make the synchro summon, level 2, as well as themselves. So you're always able to get your guys out. You don't have to worry about other cards to mess with that. The tuners are in doubt. I run 1 of each except for Calligrapher. I run 2 of them, just to ensure you've got like the extra chance of getting a tuner. Then you have the big side ones, which is Peony, a tuner, so you definitely want that one, 3 of. And Maple with Deer and Clover with Boar, 2 ofs in each. Clover with Boar, if you play it, you get to then reveal a card. If it's a Flower Cardian, you get to draw it. And you get to destroy 1 monster your opponent controls as well. With these cards as well, they don't need anything specific to summon them. You just tribute 1 other Flower Cardian monster, except for themselves. Maple with Deer, same idea, except it's for the Spell and Trap Zone. And Peony with Butterfly is your second tuner. Same tuner effect as Calligrapher. However, its actual inbuilt effect is you get to view the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, rearrange them, and put them either at the top or bottom. Great way to mess with your opponent, really, more than anything else. And a very strong set of field control as well. Especially when you mix in the fact you can start throwing them back into the deck with Willow, so you can keep recycling them. And the last and least, the lone Backjack, which has actually worked out in my favour more often than I care to admit, though I'm still looking to replace him. Actually, in a game where we're going to record, he managed to get discarded by one of Jacob's cards' effect, which allowed me then to reveal the top card. It was a trap I previously set up, so that one went straight into it. The trap, I only run one trap. It's a normal trap, so it's great for him. So it does work well-ish as long as you've got the other traps into the deck. Otherwise, he's just kind of a placeholder.
I was really glad that duel didn't get recorded as well.
So the 2 non-Flower Cardian cards, aside from Reinforcement of the Army, we have Breakthrough Skill and Galaxy Cyclone. As you'll have gathered from me going through it, every single one of them makes you draw a card. If it's not a Flower Cardian, you graveyard it. Having anything that can't work in the graveyard as a Flower Cardian, kind of a waste. Rota being the only exception, because everything's a warrior anyway. Breakthrough Skill, great card. Can turn off monster effects. It's a good way to try and get around some anti-meta stuff if you're luck into it. Galaxy Cyclone, destroying something that's set, pretty good. The second effect can be a lifesaver in a lot of situations. I run 2 of each of these. And the last 2 cards that have yet to be introduced is Flower Stacking and Recoordination. Flower Stacking, just choose 3 Flower Cardian monsters from your deck with different names, put them on top. So, I mean, I don't think I need to explain to you why that's a good thing. Secondly, aside from the turn that this was put into your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Flower Cardian monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then you can only do that once per turn. You'll generally only use that if you really need to, or again, if you have something like Rain Shower out, it's just a good way to get a card into your hand so you can start everything again. And that's why the draw thing also on Rain Shower doesn't really matter. Recoordination is the only Flower Cardian support spell card that really has something I would consider worthwhile for being flipped out. Base effect's great. You get to target 1 from your graveyard, take it to your hand, special summon 1 Flower Cardian monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. So if you have something like, I don't know, Maple with Deer in hand, and you just want your Willow back, you can fire down Deer without needing to tribute anything. He still gets all his kicking effects. So, I mean, it's a great way to save cards and just fill up your field. Or get a guy out that you really want to without spending something on the field. The other effect is you look at the top 5 cards, or you excavate the top 5 cards, sorry. And you can add 1 spell or trap card into your hand and place the remaining back in the deck in any order you want. So, again, this is you getting to stack your deck for further plays. Which is really the main concept of this deck. It's based on the Hanafuda from Japan, the set collecting. So, I mean, it works to that strength. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And
before we go and finish the video, I thought it'd be good to add a little aspect into some of the deck profiles. Obviously, with like other people, I'm getting them to show their deck profiles. What would you think this deck, if they were going to bring out any new support, what, other than a Link monster, what would you say would be to sort of make this deck more playable?
To make it more playable, it would need something that allows you to like summon ignoring effects without an additional cost.
So just to stop the... you can only special summon Flower Cardian monsters, just to stop that then.
Because, I mean, without Breakthrough Skill, if I do go against anti-meta and they go first, and they put something down, you're stuck. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
You're just looking at the field like, okay, where's my breakthrough skill? Or where's my Galaxy Cyclone?
Yeah.
So you can't really break through that. I would probably say something with it. I mean, it's got a lot of support in there already because it's got Boar to destroy monsters. It's got
it's got a way out of everything, but
it does. It's just if you can't play it, you can't get out of
yeah.
it. So anything that can shut the deck down is really strong. Even, I mean, Super Koi Koi I think tells you special summon them. So I believe with anti-meta decks that stops that as well.
Yeah.
Possibly something that's just allows your, maybe even another synchro or something that's cannot be destroyed by monsters.
Yeah.
Like a low attack, especially with Link being a thing now. So it's like you've got to really pick unless they get a Link monster out. If they were to get a Link, it would probably have to do something similar. Like
Just give you phenomenal board presence.
yeah, it's got to be able to stop your. It's got to be able to stop you getting screwed over straight away.
Yeah.
Even if that means sacrificing the ability for it to be screwed over. So like, even if you had to include something like cannot be affected by other Flower Cardian effects. So like,
But even
range
then, you
hour can't block it from dying.
But even then, from when we used to play this deck, you used to play it against me. The actual monsters themselves, they even when you get the big guy out, you could still swarm and make your second big guy. And it was, I remember that because that was a horrible lock, and that I hated that.
The biggest problem as well for pre-Link was because the extra slot wasn't existent.
Yeah.
As the Flower Cardian player, you were getting less and less space, so you need to be really careful with how you're playing your cards. Now, because it's like you play the five's out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't really know if it needs any bigger clearance. I think this deck could sneak in somewhere and totally take someone by surprise because it's not very well played. A lot of
Unless you tailor, you know yourself because I have meta decks.
Yeah.
Unless you play, unless you are literally tailoring your deck and knowing what you're going up against. I've lost to this deck more times than I care to admit because of the fact of meta decks just aren't tailored to deal with what this deck can throw out.
And again, that's purely because it has an answer for most things.
Yeah.
Board fly, stopping things like XYZ and ABC and whatnot is such a lockdown. The ability to stop things like a lot of the back row presence by playing Maple with Deer. And the other thing as well is if you haven't stacked the deck, everyone has to decide whether they're going to stop the monster before that effect kicks in. So you play Maple with Deer. Your opponent's like, well, he could have one. He's not done anything to stack the deck. If I activate it, and the next card is just, say, a spell, I've wasted a trap card, and he could draw into another Maple with Deer and throw that down, and it's just, it has that ability to stop your opponent in their tracks. Same with Blossom with Cardian. I mean, you reveal it before to special summon it. So it's a case of they have to choose even before you've revealed the card
to negate it. Yeah, it's. I'm going to be honest. With this deck, more than just your opponent being able to spam out the monsters, so facing this deck, more than just sitting there watching you spam out the monsters and get the big guy out. The most heartbreaking and wrenching thing about playing against this deck is when you activate flower stacking, and when in your head you're shuffling and you cut the deck and you think, yeah, it's left like that, and then you place the cards on top. It's the most heartbreaking thing, no matter how many times you cut the deck. But thank you very much, Corey, for that.
Yeah, no worries. And hopefully we'll have a game of this up as well soon after this.
Yep, certainly. Thank you very much, YouTube.
Take care.